The election wash-up's continuing. A silver lining today, though, we may well have seen peak Teal. And it's possible also that the Greens have lost all of their lower house seats, thanks to Peter Dutton's principled decision to put Labor, a party of government, ahead of the extremists. Continuing counting has given back Goldstein to the Libs. And the man who has emerged the victor, Tim Wilson, joins me here shortly. In the Sydney seat of Bradfield, it looks like the Liberals there have held off the Teals too, despite their candidate from last time having been funded as some sort of shadow member for the past 3 years. And we may yet see the end of the campaign Karen, Monique Ryan, in Kooyong as well. So what does that tell you? That well-credentialed Liberal candidates with plenty of time to run strong local campaigns, well, they can win back Teal seats, even in an election where the party went backwards because of a supposedly hard-right leader without clear policy or a strong national campaign. Now, see how premature it is to write the Liberal Party off or to panic at a bad outcome. Again, as I said on Monday night, when I went methodically through the numbers and recent electoral history, perspective is everything. And it's so important that you have perspective, because when you win, you need it so it doesn't go to your head, and you need it when you lose so that you learn the lessons of what to change and what to keep. So let's now be clear about the Teals. They were never innocent, idealistic community independents. They're incredibly well funded and a well-drilled arm, a political arm, of the renewable energy industry. Renewable energy barons have organised and funded them into the parliament in order to protect their subsidy harvesting business model. These Teals are owned by the big climate money that funds them, and that model is branching out. Have a look at this. It's a label from a box in the seat of Wannon. It's a box of pamphlets for the legalised cannabis party. And who paid for that? Well, it says on the box, Climate 200. Now, that might sound like a bit of a weird connection, but surely that's got something to do with the purchase of a cannabis farm by the top Climate 200 donor, the millionaire share trader, Rob Keldoulis. He's a high-profile backer of the legalised cannabis party. And on the weekend, it acted as a preference harvester in many of the Teal races. Now, there's very little principled politics here. It's follow the money and self-interest at play, that's for sure. And here's another thing too about the Teals. They have been bought into being solely to keep the Liberal Party out of office until it panders to the financial interests of the renewable sector's billionaire backers. This is why the Teals and many of the moderate Liberals want to see off any talk of nuclear power. They want it killed off as the Liberal Party goes through its convulsions, because nuclear power completely upends the business model of renewable energy. It all started with Malcolm Turnbull conspiring to remove the Liberal Prime Minister Tony Abbott, who was most opposed to renewable industry rent-seeking. Moving to axe the tax, signed Abbott's death warrant with moderates in his party room. Then, after Scott Morrison replaced Turnbull and watered down the coalition's support for renewables, the Teals emerged to keep what they called a climate-denying Liberal Party permanently in opposition. As Chris Yeoman very shrewdly said here on Monday night, the Teals were established to do to the Liberals what the DLP once did to Labor, to keep them out of office forever unless they fundamentally change and move to the left.
Think of them as the DLP. It's not like the Greens to the Labor Party. Those preferences flow back. What the Teals do, they're a political party that have been set up precisely to stop the Liberal Party from ever regaining power again, and they're doing that very effectively.
Very, very shrewd. Now, it's significant that a big donor to the Teals is Turnbull's son Alex, who's given $25,000 to the Spender campaign in Wentworth, not once, but twice. And no one is more determined to stymie the Liberal Party than the man the party finally rejected after giving him the leadership, not once but twice. Now, see them for what they are. Amongst other things, the Teals are partly Turnbull's revenge. And the sooner they're all gone, the better. But back to the Libs and all those running around today talking about some sort of existential crisis. Now, sure, it's been a bad loss, but politics hasn't changed. The way to be a successful opposition is to be a clear alternative to a bad government, not a weak echo, not Labor light. That's why the panic merchants should calm down, like Senator Maria Kovacic, who today called for the Libs to drop their pro-nuclear position.
This is a policy that went to an election. The election result was devastating. So the message from the community is very, very clear, and that's why I believe that this nuclear policy has to go.
Now, she's a factional operative who was parachuted into the New South Wales Party presidency for all of 5 minutes, and now she's been shoehorned into the Senate. Well, she's been there about 10 minutes. Presumably, her announcement was carefully timed to coincide with ads running here on Sky News from something called Liberals Against Nuclear. Their website features anti-nuclear quotes from, wait for it, Liberal turncoats Matt Keane and Malcolm Turnbull.
Matt Keane, former New South Wales Liberal Treasurer and Energy Minister, said nuclear is a distraction that doesn't stack up at the moment on practical or economic grounds.
They need to cut the cost of living.
An economic study found that bills would need to go up by $665.
Who'd vote for a $665 electricity bill increase?
Stupid.
Presumably
they need to change the policy.
Poison.
Huh?
They need to change the policy.
Authorised by Peter Dutton for Liberals Against Nuclear, Reesville.
And they've updated those ads and they're now running them to put pressure on the Liberal moderates to dump nuclear now that they have lost the election. This looks like a rerun to me of something called Liberals for Forests that connived to defeat General Liberal candidates in WA a few years back. It's like another outfit too called the North Shore Environmental Stewards. Now, this was a Michael Photius-linked body, a body that tried to inject activists into the Liberal Party to unseat Tony Abbott prior to the 2019 election. See these entities for what they are. They are dummy groups set up to either defeat the Liberal Party or force it to stop being the Liberal Party. Doubtless funded by renewable energy lobbyists and those set to make millions and millions from all the taxpayer handouts on offer, this is what it's all about. It's always been about the money, never about the environment. Meanwhile, the Liberal leadership campaign, well, that's coming to a head. So-called moderates are claiming it can't be Angus Taylor because the Shadow Treasurer was part of Dutton's inner circle. But hang on, surely the Deputy Leader, Susan Lee, was equally part of the inner circle and deserves, like Angus Taylor, her share of responsibility for defeat. Of course, the leadership will be determined by the party room. But given how consequential these decisions are, they really shouldn't be made on any basis other than who can best hold the government to account. The person who is best able to represent and articulate the party's core equities of sound economic management and strong national security should get the leader's job. Fundamentally, it must be made on merit. Today, re-elected Tim Wilson pointedly refused to rule out running for the leadership.
Today, I had aspirations for one thing, and it was to have the great privilege and service to be the member for Goldstein again. And, of course, we have lived out that promise.
I bet you I'll be asking him that question again in a moment, but a pointer to the party room. Picking someone because he or she ticks some identity box is not the Liberal way. If the Liberal Party dumps the merit principle, it's no longer a Liberal Party. It might as well put itself into voluntary administration and let a more principled outfit take over. You cannot trash your values or lose perspective after a loss. Remember John Howard's landslide win in 2004? He won the House and also that history-making Senate majority. Well, at the next election, his government was thrown out of office and he lost his own seat. A smashing win does not mean the Albanese government is invincible, but only if there's a strong, consistent and relentless opposition.